Hello everyone, welcome to Statecraft IS Academy. We started a new initiative called the Daily Current Affairs Discussion, and this is the 5th video in that series. The PDF of this video is available on the Statecraft Telegram channel and Statecraft website. So let's get started with the current affairs. So first topic is diplomatic immunity. So it's a privilege that is being provided to the diplomats in the country in which they got posted. And generally these privileges are in the form of exemptions from certain laws and taxes. So this is formed as a custom so that the diplomats can function without fear, threat or intimidation from the host country. Also this immunity is granted on the basis of two conventions which are popularly known as Vienna Conventions. First is Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1961. Second is Convention on Consular Relations 1963. It has been ratified by 187 countries, and the immunity enjoyed by these diplomats posted in embassy is inviolable, and the diplomats cannot be arrested or detained, and his house will have the same inviolability and protection as that of the embassy. There are also exceptions to this immunity. First is it is possible that the diplomat's home country can waive off this immunity, but this can only happen when the individual has committed a serious crime. Also, the home country can prosecute the individual. Next is about International Council of Museum. So it is a membership association and a non-governmental organization. It's an important point. It's a non-governmental organization, and it establishes a professional and ethical standards for museum activities. Also, it is the only global organization in the museum field. It is headquartered in Paris, France. Also, it serves as a network of museum professionals, and just like IUCN has a red list for threatened species, International Council of Museum also has a red list that is for cultural objects which are at risk, and they are practical tools to curb the illegal traffic of cultural objects. So this red list presents the category of cultural objects that can be subjected to theft and traffic. Next is about Paracel Islands. So these islands is a collection of 130 islands and coral reefs. It is situated in South China Sea. So, and these islands are equidistant from China and Vietnam, and this is a disputed island. So China, Taiwan and Vietnam claims this territory. Now we see the map of Paracel Island. So it is equidistant from China and Vietnam, whereas China is on the north and Vietnam is in the southwest, around southwest. Next in the map we also see other islands like Scarborough, Sparsely Islands. So sometimes in prelims also questions come related to geography, like arrange the following islands in from north to south or east to west. So it's important to note their locations. Also Philippines is nearby Sparsely Islands. So this area is actually important. All the wait a minute. Yeah, all the areas located near in the South China Sea and nearby areas. Next is about Corpse flower. So its scientific name is Amorphophallus titanium. It is ultra rare plant and it is known to bloom only once in 7 to 10 years. The flowers are also considered to be one of the largest in the world, and it is native to Indonesia, but it is being cultivated in zoos and botanical gardens as well. The average corpse flower has a lifespan of around 3 to 4 decades, and the flower is known for its pungent stench, so which is similar to a rotting meat or a decaying cadaver, and it is an endangered plant, so it is in the endangered category of IUCN. Next we'll talk about Coviself. So it is India's first COVID-19 self-testing kit which is being approved by ICMR, and it is developed by MyLab Discovery Solutions. It uses rapid antigen test, and the individual can take the nasal swab sample of its own and can test for COVID. Next we'll talk about electoral bonds. So SBI has provided information on the sale of electoral bonds during the recent assembly elections. So talking about electoral bonds, they are non-interest bearing financial instruments, they actually allow the eligible donors to pay eligible political parties using banks. So they allow for bank transactions only. Next, these bonds actually ensure a transparency in the funding of political parties, and they are introduced by the government in 2017. And the nodal bank for this electro bonds is State Bank of India. They issue these electro bonds in the month of January, April, July, and October, and they are available in the denomination of 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakhs, and 1 crore. So the donors can buy this electro bonds and transfer them in the account of political parties as a donation. The name of the donor is kept confidential, and political parties are required to create a specific account for this donations, and the bond remains valid only for 15 days. The political parties can encash these electro bonds only in these verified accounts. Talking about the eligibility, only registered political parties are eligible. Further, they have to secure at least 1% of the votes polled in the last Lok Sabha elections or state assembly elections to receive these funds. Next, we'll talk about snow leopards. So, World Wildlife Fund for Nature has released a report on snow leopards. So, it is a member of the genus Panthera, to which tiger, leopard, and lion also belongs. Its scientific name is Panthera unicea, and they are found in 12 countries. Also, they reside in cold high mountains. So in India, they are found in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. Some features of snow leopard are they are most elusive cats and are perfectly equipped to thrive in extreme and high elevation habitats. Also, they are insulated with thick white grey coats spotted with large block rosettes and white, and these acts as natural snow shoes. They are shy and they are rarely seen in the wild, and their tail helps in balancing and also covers the body while sleeping. Talking about their protection status, which is one of the most important related to this news, that is the snow leopards are considered vulnerable. Also, snow leopard is a state animal of Himachal Pradesh. Talking about its conservation, there are various projects and initiatives taken by the government. First is Project Snow Leopard, was launched in 2009, and it was launched to promote an inclusive and participatory approach to conserve snow leopards and their habitat. Next is Global Snow Leopard and Ecosystem Protection. It's a joint initiative of range of countries and international agencies, civil society, and private sector. So it helps to secure the long-term survival of snow leopard in its natural ecosystem. Next is Himal Sanrakshak. So it is a community volunteer program launched by the government to protect snow leopards. Next, talking about Worldwide Fund is, it is an international non-governmental organization. So important to note that it is an international non-governmental organization, and also it is the largest conservation organization. It was established in 1961. Headquartered it is in Gland, Switzerland. Its objective is to conserve the world's biological diversity, ensure that the use of renewable resources is sustainable, and also promote the reduction of pollution and wasteful consumptions. And reports and programs related to it are Living Planet Report, Earth Hour, Debt for Nature Swaps. Next topic is Legislative Council. So recently, Trinamool Congress government in West Bengal has approved the setting up of Legislative Council in the state. So talking about the background of Legislative Council, so in 1919, when the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms came, in that there was a provision for the formation of Council of State at national level, and then during the Government of India Act 1935, they decided to set up bicameral legislatures in the Indian provinces. So it was under this law that a legislative council was first started functioning in Bengal in 1937. And the framers of the constitution also provided that in the beginning, The state of Bihar, Bombay, Madras, Punjab, and United Province and West Bengal would have a legislative council. Also gave the states the option of abolishing an existing second chamber or setting up a new by passing a resolution in the Legislative Assembly. Also, the West Bengal Legislative Council remained in existence till 1969, and it was abolished 50 years ago by coalition government of left parties. So, what a legislative council is? India basically has a bicameral system of legislature. So, just like the parliament has two houses, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, states also have two bodies, that is the legislative council and a legislative assembly. So states may also have a legislative council in addition to, so legislative assembly is compulsory for all the states and legislative council is optional, and it is given in the article 169 of the constitution. So like Rajya Sabha, legislative council is also a continuing chamber, that is it is a permanent body and it is not subject to dissolution like the legislative assembly. Next, Article 169 talks about the creation and abolition of Legislative Council. So, Parliament has the right to abolish a Legislative Council or to create it by a simple majority. And also, if the Legislative Assembly of the concerned state by a special majority passes a resolution to that effect. So, what happens is, if a state wants to create or abolish its Legislative Council, it has to pass a resolution by a special majority. So a special majority implies a majority of total membership of the assembly and a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the assembly present and voting. And after that, the parliament will pass can abolish it by a simple majority. So the simple majority includes a majority of the members in the each house present and voting. Next, talking about the composition, it is mentioned in the Article 171 of the Constitution. So, Legislative Council of the state shall not have more than 1/3 of the total strength of the state assembly and not less than 40 members. So, the maximum limit is it should not be more than 1/3 of the total strength of the assembly, and the minimum it should not be less than 40 members. There are exceptions also to this law. On the tenure, so talking about the tenure, the members of the Legislative Council is 6 years, with 1/3 of the members retiring every 2 years. So currently 6 states have a Legislative Council in India, that is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Talking about the manner of election, so 1/3 of the member of the Legislative Council are elected by the state member Legislative Assembly, member of Legislative Assembly. 1/3 by a special electorate which comprises of the local government such as municipalities and district board, and 1/12 by the electorate of teachers, another 1/12 by registered graduates, and the remaining are nominated by the governor from the distinguished services in the field of literature, science, art, cooperative movement and social service. Next, we'll see the difference between Legislative Council and Rajya Sabha. So, Rajya Sabha has substantial power to shape the non-financial legislation, whereas Legislative Councils lack that constitutional mandate. So, Legislative Councils actually have limited powers, and also the Legislative Assemblies can easily override the suggestions and amendments made by the Council. Again, unlike Rajya Sabha MPs, a member of the Legislative Councils cannot vote in the election for the President and the Vice President, and the Vice President is the Rajya Sabha chairman, while member of the Council itself is chosen as a Council's chairperson. Next, there are also arguments against the Legislative Council, such as that it leads to delay in legislation and also considered as a burden on the state's budget. Also, they said people have been telling that legislative councils are only used to park leaders who have not been able to win an election. Next our topic of discussion is judicial disqualification or recusal. So recently Supreme Court Judge B.R. Javai, one of the 2 judges of the vacation bench, scheduled to hear a plea by former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh, challenging the internal inquiries instituted against him, has recused himself from hearing the case. So, what judicial disqualification or recusal means? So, it is an act of abstaining from participation in an official action such as legal proceeding, or might be due to conflict of interest or the presiding court official or the administrative officer. So there can be many grounds of recusal. First is the judge can be biased in favor of one party or another party, or that a reasonable objective observer would think he might be, or there is interest in the subject matter or relationship with someone who is interested in it. There might be background or experience as such judge's prior work as a lawyer, or personal knowledge about the parties or the fact of the case. Also, some ex parte communications with the lawyers or the non lawyers, or rulings or comments or conduct which might affect their decisions. So, all for today, guys. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.